choir for General Assembly in June. I don't know if some of you had watched any General Assembly online, but it's a great edited piece that's been put together by very tech-savvy, wonderful music people. So please enjoy this piece by them.
There will be better days. 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 Let the wave wash. There will be better days. There will be better days. There will be better days. I am better days. There will be 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 better days. Let the wave wash over. There will be better days. There will be better days. Let the wave wash. There will be better days. There will be better days. There will be better days. I am there will be better days.
Amid all the noise in our lives, we take this time to gather and nourish our spirits. To give thanks for another day, to give thanks for those in our lives who have brought us warmth and love, to give thanks for the gift of life. Let us open ourselves here and now to the process of becoming more whole, of living more fully, of giving and forgiving more freely, of understanding more completely the meaning of our lives here on this earth. Good morning. I'm Rev Laura. I'm the minister here at Minnesota Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. We're glad for you to be in this gathering, whether you're here on Zoom with us or on YouTube Live, or if you're watching us later, we're all together in spirit, so welcome. A few announcements before we get going. Yesterday, we experienced Zoom bombers disrupting the celebration of life for Donna Kopnick. This was as horrifying as all of my colleagues who have experienced this had witnessed too. Richard, since then, has edited the disruption out of the video recording and fixed the tech glitches that happened after that. We had a few glitches afterwards. And we will send the link for that better service that holds the intention that it was meant to hold without disruption. We will send that to all of our members and friends via email after the service today. We acknowledge that the disruption was scary and unsettling, and we are very sorry that we had to experience this. We did get some advice afterwards about things that we can do to make it more difficult for it to happen again, and we've changed some of our Zoom host settings to better prevent future disruptions. We remain committed to finding safe and meaningful ways that we can all be together during this time of social distancing. The email that I'm going to send this afternoon with that link will also have another link, and that is a link for an online memorial website that's been set up for Betty Gutman by her family. There will not be a service for Betty at this time. I'm not sure if there'll be one later, but at this time they're not planning a service. I encourage you all to visit the memorial site for her, though, where you can read a little bit about her, and there are some photos, and there's space for you there to post memories and tributes and your own photos, and there's even a virtual wall where you can kind of put virtual flowers on there. So I encourage you all to engage that and show Betty's family some love and honor her memory there. The unauction starts next Sunday, and it runs 8 days. And we have over 70 items. There's gift cards and talks and dinners and foods. And prices start as low as the hopes that you all can participate. Now, I haven't seen the full list of donations, but I can tell you one thing that I donated, or actually several of them that I donated. I can't remember what the cost is that I said, but spiritual care packets. So I have I grew this herb garden this summer, and I have a ton of sage and some lavender, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll make some mini smudge sticks or something for folks. And I thought, oh yeah, I can make mini smudge sticks and maybe make some mini chalices, some easy mini chalices, and put a reading or something in there, and I can put those on the auction. So that's one thing that I have on there. And I am sure that there are other interesting creative things. So right now I'm asking of those gathered here, is there anybody here that donated something to the auction that you might want to share with us all to wet our whistle to get involved in that next week? Just unmute yourself and take turns sharing if you donated something.
I donated apple pies for my apple tree.
Oh, one at a time here. Lorna?
Yeah, I donated apple pies again for my apple tree.
Can you hear her?
I'm not muted.
That's better.
Okay. I donated apple pies from the apple tree in my backyard.
That sounds delicious. Who else? Barb?
I donated a fall vegetarian chili dinner, complete with salad and cornbread and dessert, and it will be delivered to your home at a date mutually agreed upon.
Terrific. Who else? Kathy?
I donated 10 bottles of my fabulous hot sauce sphincter surprise. I do warn you that this one seems to be a little hotter than the years in the past. It's not real hot anyway, but also want to encourage you to condiment responsibly.
And I donated a, hello, am I on? No?
You're good, Ruth. Go ahead.
Okay. I donated a set of 10 packets of note cards of photos, and they're blank inside, and each card is different in every single packet. So it's kind of a good luck with what you get. But they're all, they usually have a bird in them, a flower in them, maybe a duck or goose. So they're all nature. So there's 5 in a packet, and envelopes as well.
That's great. Does anybody else want to share before we move on? Well, I am looking forward to all the creative things that are on there, and I might have to try the sphincter surprise this year. You know, Emily and I have discovered making hot wings in our new air fryer this summer, and so we might have to give that a try on our wings. Richard's going to post the words for the chalice lighting over in the chat there for us this morning. And I have a chalice here, but I don't know if anybody else has a chalice. Does anybody else have one? If you do have one next to you that you're going to light, you can just maybe hold it up so we can all see it. And I invite you to join me in these words. As we light our chalice and acknowledge the flame that burns bright from within each one of us, may the light we find in ourselves and recognize in others give us clarity of purpose. May it illuminate our way as we set about doing the work of this congregation in commitment, in cooperation, and in love. Our opening hymn this morning is Spirit of Life, and I invite you to sing where you are if you like to sing along.
Spirit
Each week we set aside a few minutes to lift up the joys and sorrows of the congregation. Following that, we join in our common sung response, and I'm just gonna have it out there. Last week, Fran led us in that. If there's anyone else who's willing to lead us a cappella in that today, just let me know when we're going to do that, which will be after Joys and Sorrows and after the meditation and after the moment of silence. But if you're feeling so moved to lead us today, it feels a little bit nicer to have somebody lead us live than have the recording, I think. So, but for now, I open the space for sharing of joys and sorrows today.
I just wanted to
Lorna, are you?
yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
I just am concerned about the police violence and or military violence in Portland and across the country.
Lorna, you're really bad. Lorna, you were really choppy. Maybe can you type it in the chat so we can catch all of that? Audio's not working very well today. Does anybody else have something they wanted to share, Tom?
This is a joy. Anne's my first child. Many of you probably knew her as Elizabeth or Liz, has now formally gotten her name legally changed to E. Peak Ellinger. That's E space Peak Ellinger. It's wonderful to see a child on an amazing journey.
It's Barb Gilliand. I have a concern. I'm sure many of you have heard that in Minnesota, food shelves are predicting a 65% increase in the need for food going forward. If you have extra charitable dollars to give, please remember the food shelves.
There are a couple over in the chat. I just want to mention those in case people didn't see them. Richard had his birthday this week. Happy birthday, Richard, and seriously, thank you for everything that you do. Lorna's concern was for the military presence in Portland and across the country, and yes, it's very, very. Kathleen goes to Nebraska to visit her parents in the nursing home for the first time since March. I hope you're having a great visit, Kathleen. Carla's concerned about Bloomington Public Schools and how they'll move forward with the year, hoping they can keep everyone safe. I just want to acknowledge what a hard time this is for parents who are holding this space of wanting their kids to go back to school and not wanting their kids to go back to school. It's very complicated and very hard. Also a joy of the opportunity to continue to rightfully protest, and a sadness as the protest, the violence that is following in some of those protests. Indeed, we're all kind of watching that in other cities right now, and it's alarming. Indeed. A joy for my family. I think that my nephew is being extubated today or tomorrow, and he's spending more moments awake in his journey of recovery, and that's great. And sorrow and concern, and that's that our beloved dog Pip, who had surgery last week, the biopsy came back and she does have the more sinister version of cancer that we were hoping she didn't have. And so we're kind of on that journey with her now. And But for now, Emily and I are doing a very good job about just enjoying each day that we have with her. So Ed also has a joy for John Lewis's final trip across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. I didn't get to see that yet, and I haven't been able to watch much of the footage from the memorial service for him, but that's definitely on my list to do. Does anybody else have anything to share today? Kind of a small group today. Was there anyone who wanted to volunteer to lead us in our song response? Do I see Lee and Leslie talking it over? Look, we could have two voices. I'm putting you on the spot. Just saying, if you wanted to, you could unmute yourselves and lead us.
What do you want?
We will do it.
You know, the song response for Joys and Sorrows. We believe in life and in the strength of love. Can you guys do that
We'll
for
do
us?
it. We'll volunteer.
Okay, thank you.
Oh. And we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a need to be together. We have our hearts to give, we have our thoughts to receive, and we believe that sharing is an answer.
Thank you, Swensons. That was lovely. It's so nice to hear other people's voices. All right. I have a, for some reason, here we go. I have a meditation to share with you this morning. This was written by a colleague of mine. Her name's Linda Susan Ulrich. She did her internship at Unity, and I met her when she was here. She's a wonderful minister. And you'll catch as I read this that I'm thinking she wrote it right after the last election. It feels like that. But it still resonates today. So this is her meditation, Give Voice to Mourning. And after it, I just invite you into a moment of silence to kind of contemplate that. Give voice to sorrow and fear, the racking sobs at family betraying family, the shock at the chasm separating neighbors. What will you do in the days ahead, one asked. Hide in an attic, another replied, her eyes as wide and dark as Anne Frank's. Already the assaults on bodies have launched. Already hatred has been emboldened. Already graffiti has defaced stone walls. Already harassment of the other has begun. When someone announces they're coming for you, your worry doesn't spring from paranoia. It's based on the evidence of history. Give voice to denial and bargaining, the catastrophic panic, desperate for a way out, clinging to any path that might alter the outcome. Where we live, we'll be okay, one says. Who do you mean by we? Another asks. You suppress the disorienting sense that you've fallen into the opening of a dystopian novel, calming yourself that everything must turn out okay because the narrator is alive to recount the tale, ignoring the blankness of the next page. Give voice to anger and rage, that truth and kindness mattered so little, that vitriol poisoned the community well. They will try to use your goodness against you, one said, and rely on your reasonableness to accept the unacceptable, another added. But always keep sight of the larger picture and the deeper values calling to you. Let your passion burn for justice, burn but not consume. Give voice to acceptance and hope. This is where we are. This is our new reality. For some, said one, the world we awoke to on November 9th was not much different than the one we'd been living in. Except, said another, that more people were woke to it. Already organizing is taking place. Already creativity and solidarity are sending out tendrils. Already resistance and resilience are storing themselves up. Already signs of love are picking up speed. When someone announces they're coming for you, you find your people, you find your fearlessness, and you don't let go. I'm thankful for Linda Susan's words today to remind us of where we're living and what's at stake. The UU Association has launched a new campaign that's called UU the Vote. And I have 2 videos to share with you this morning to introduce that before my reflection. So I'll ask Richard to roll those for us. Do you have that other video, Richard? He might be having some tech difficulties on his end. I think I have it. I'm not sure if I can share though. Oh, I can. Here we go.
Even before COVID-19 and even before the uprisings, we knew that in 2020, everything would be on the line.
There are years that pass by unnoticed.
and there are those that define us. This is a defining time. You the Vote is about mobilizing our communities to vote love and defeat hate in the 2020 elections. But it's also about building safety and freedom for all of our communities, even in the midst of crisis and change. You the Vote is about fighting for the future of democracy, the future of our planet, and the future of our faith. And because of Unitarian Universalists who have given generously to You the Vote, we've been able to direct grants to our state action networks in Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Arizona. We're working with frontline communities and faith coalitions to talk about our values, fight voter suppression, and make sure voters turn out in November. When Ohio's elections went entirely to vote by mail, UU Justice Ohio was pivotal in making sure that voters had the information they needed to access their ballots. The next 4 months are a time to come together and build a world that is more free and more just. And You the Vote is offering concrete and meaningful ways to engage from now until Election Day. In partnership with Reclaim Our Vote, during this General Assembly alone, we are challenging you to make at least 100,000 phone calls to connect voters to the information they need to overcome the barriers the state of Texas is placing in their way. We urge you to take your shift making calls and help us reach that goal with our partners at Showing Up for Racial Justice, or SURGE. White Unitarian Universalists will be trained to survey, engage, and persuade other white voters to prioritize decriminalization and supporting the movement for Black lives. In July, we'll be rolling out our new organizing program to equip you with the skills to build a team, to connect with voters, and to vote love and defeat hate in November. Our phone banking software costs 4 cents a call. It doesn't sound like much, but with $120,000, Unitarian Universalists could make 3 million calls to voters before Election Day. And we can build lasting organizing infrastructure in our congregations, in our states, and in our association.
You the Vote is putting schools and communities first.
You the Vote means investing in our people and our communities.
You the Vote means working with our partners.
You the Vote means fighting white supremacy.
It is a way that we can start to dismantle and reshape those systems and structures built to oppress.
Electing a new county attorney can mean ending cash bail, decarcerating up to 50%, and canceling contracts with private prisons.
You the Vote is amazing organizing.
It's sending over 10,000 postcards.
You the Vote means taking action together to bring UU values to life.
You the Vote is a call to prayer.
It's doing the work, each and every time.
I believe in the power of UUs.
Here's what I know. In this moment of such brokenness, there's also so much possibility. In this defining time, the world needs our faith to be bold and visible and clear. Help us live into that promise by donating to You the Vote today. Thank you for your love, your work, and thank you for your generosity. Let's You the Vote. Let's You the Vote.
Watching a video of some kind.
I think Richard posted over there in the chat our link to donate to the fellowship, and also the links for You the Vote. This is a great campaign to get involved in. I know many of you have done voting work before, and for getting out the vote, and this is just another way to engage that, and they've got lots of organized structures set up for folks to really get engaged. If you're interested, you can take a look at their website, which is uuthevote.org. You can also look at, I just want to lift up Moose Jaw is also doing a little bit of work with that too here on a local level. So check out, that's musja.org. Ashley Horan, who is now the UUA Organizing Strategy Director and leading this UU the Vote campaign, has said about our time right now that things are dire. She says there's no time to sit on the sidelines, paraphrasing UUA President Susan Frederick Gray, who's told us all that this is no time for casual faith. Indeed, the 2020 election is most likely the most critical election in our lifetime. Everything is at stake. We're in the middle of a pandemic. The health and well-being of our nation is at stake. Our bodies, our spirits, our economic health, it's all at stake. Our country has had more reported cases of COVID-19 than any other nation, with more than 4.1 million diagnoses and around more than 146,000 deaths. Yesterday was the 5th straight day in a row where we as a country had more than 1,000 deaths per day due to COVID. 1,000 deaths per day. The virus has become one of the leading causes of death in our country. Our very lives are at stake. But to be clear, they are even more at stake if you are not white. The CDC reports that long-standing systemic health and social inequities have put some members of racial and ethnic minority groups at increased risk of getting COVID-19 or experiencing severe illness, regardless of their age. Non-Hispanic American Indian or Alaskan Native persons have a rate approximately 5 times that of non-Hispanic white persons of contracting COVID-19. Non-Hispanic Black persons have a rate approximately 5 times that of non-Hispanic white persons. And Hispanic or Latino persons have a rate approximately 4 times that of non-Hispanic white folks. Non-Hispanic white folks, which are most of us here, I want you to take a moment and think about the threat of COVID-19 to yourself, to those of us gathered here. I want you to think about that threat and how it feels to you, and then I want you to multiply it times 4 or 5. Our lives are at stake, some lives more than others. And it is not a coincidence that we are in the midst of one of the largest uprisings against racism and oppression in our lifetimes. People are taking to the streets, to the airwaves, to media to proclaim that they have had enough of the systemic and social inequities, that they have had enough of a culture that upholds white skin privileged above all others. Black lives matter. Latinx lives matter, Indigenous lives matter. But our country was built on lies and theft and the inhumane treatment of people who were not white. That was the root of all of the systems that we put in place. It was the root. It was a root in our justice system, in our economic system, in housing and schooling and healthcare, employment, and social status. The cancer of racism that was at this country's founding has metastasized and spread throughout the whole body that is our nation. This is not outside of us, but it's in us, because we are both the body and the cancer. Our body systems are literally attacking our own other healthy systems. We're attacking our own muscles, our own brain, our bones, our heart. And we have all become either the part of the body that is being attacked, or we are the attacker. We are the sickness. And it is only when we recognize that we are in that part that is the sickness that we have a chance to stop the pain and hurt of so much systemic oppression and racism. We are the sickness, but we are also the cure. The future of our nation's conscience is at stake. The stakes are high this election, higher than ever. As a people of faith, as a people of principles, we are called upon not only to vote in the election and uphold our beliefs and principles, but we're called upon to engage the full democratic process. We're called upon to raise our voices to make sure that everyone's voice is heard. We're called upon to make sure that everyone's rights are secured. We're called upon not to secure our own life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, but the life, liberty, and happiness of all. We're talking about the fifth principle today, our right of conscience and our participation in the democratic process. In an essay about the fifth principle, Reverend Carissa Parsa writes, "In our religious lives, the democratic process requires trust in the development of each individual conscience, a belief that such development is possible for each of us, as well as a commitment to cultivate our own conscience. We could call it a commitment to the value of each person. In the words of Theodore Parker, democracy means not I am as good as you, but you are as good as I am. My connection with this life is only as precious as my willingness to acknowledge the same connection for others." It's the right of conscience, not the right of ego, that we preserve in our fifth principle. Our conscience is what mid-20th century Unitarian minister and activist Powell Davies called the sight of the soul. Our soul, our conscience, is that which dwells deep within each of us, calling us to deeper insight, wholeness, and greater good. We are called to use our right of conscience, our soul's deepest insight, in engaging our democratic process. Now, I know it's an election year, and we are tired, we are challenged. We have collective PTSD from the last election, but again, the stakes have never been higher. We have a chance to change everything, but it will take more than our votes to do that, to change those systems that have deep systemic problems. Our right of conscience is not something we just pull out and use once every 4 years. For true change, we absolutely need to get out the vote, but we also need to keep applying pressure to our elected officials, even if they are the ones we voted for, especially if they're the ones we voted for. They probably will listen to us better than the ones that we didn't vote for. We must demand deeper and more progressive and broader sweeping change than we have ever demanded before. I like what Reverend Ashley Horan said. I kid with Emily often that all these commercials begin with the phrase, "these uncertain times right now." And what I like what Reverend Ashley, I think it was her that said in that video, was not these uncertain times, but these defining times. These are defining times. We will define them. Now, we were comfortable, hopeful even, before the last election, as some of you may recall. And then we were awoken. Racism, oppression, anti-woman, anti-immigrant, transphobic, homophobic, xenophobic, gun-loving, white supremacist culture was not born on November 9th, 2016, but it was emboldened. I don't want to go back to being comfortable if it means that we're not awake to the discomfort of others. And so we need to use every tool at our disposal to work toward revealing the beloved community that lives as a dream in our conscience and must be delivered through the democratic process if it is to have a chance to thrive. We are Unitarian Universalists. We are not a people who believe that we are saved by faith alone. We are a people who believe that our faith and our principles must be put into action if we are to reach our highest understanding of our universalist beliefs, which are that we are not one saved until we are all saved. We must not only vote, but ensure that all can vote. We must not only secure our comfort and our rights, but the comfort and rights of all. We cannot truly be a free nation when there are still many bound and shackled. And so we continue on to fight for these ideas in whatever way we can. But as I write this and hold it inside my heart and read it back to myself, as I was doing this morning, I feel the weight of it. I don't know about you, but I'm often heartbroken at the current state of things. I'm tired, sometimes exhausted from the fight. I sometimes feel lost or confused about what I'm supposed to do next. And under it all, a small, vile, and nagging voice of doubt whispers to me when I am tired and heartbroken and feeling defeated. It whispers, does what you're doing really matter? This last month, we have lost founding members and longtime members of this country. They were heroes to us. We look at their commitment to service and to their willingness to take risks to build something greater than themselves, and we are inspired. They built and sustained this community as a place to lift up and work toward our highest ideals, and we are forever grateful for this congregation and all that it stands for. But they also built this congregation as a place of respite and renewal. Alongside the peace protests, marriage equality, racial justice, and social action campaigns, there were book clubs, Bagel Bunch, Women's Club, Guys Lunch, Mahjong, Bridge Club. These spaces gave us a place to relax together, to laugh together, and to build relationships. The relationships that we need with one another in order to support and care for one another on this long arc of the moral universe that we steadily keep bending toward a world that will become more just and more peaceful and more comfortable for everyone. Take notice of the victories, small and large, that happen every day. The cities beginning to do deep work in understanding racism within their systems. The everyday people becoming slightly more woke every day as they see past their own comfort to more fully see the discomfort of others. Take notice of the changes in policies that bend that moral arc. Take notice of corporate America lending its voice and power to fight for these things that we believe in. Even if they are partially motivated by profit, we will take it. Take notice of those things and take them in deeply. Take care of yourself by building supportive relationships. Contribute to sustaining this community, not only with your pledges and your donations, which we are ever grateful for, but with your heart and your mind in creating and supporting programs and gatherings that soothe and heal and feed our souls where we need it. Do not underestimate the power of your voice, your ideals, your vote, your action, your kindness, or the need to take care of yourself so that you can care and support others. That is how we inject our right of conscience into the democratic process. So let us live and breathe the highest and deepest calls of a free democracy. Let us do this in the coming months, in the coming year, for the rest of our days, as we are best able through our actions, our words, our own growth and learning. Let us not fall asleep again until comfort, safety, equity, and justice are something that we all hold. Let us not fall into sleepy comfort until the dreams we hold become a waking reality. Blessed be, and amen. I invite you all to join in singing, if you'd like, our closing hymn. It's number 318, We Would Be One.
We would be one as now we join in singing our hymn of love to pledge ourselves anew to that high cause of greater understanding of who we are and what in us is true. We would be one in living for each other to show to all our new community. We would be one in building for tomorrow a nobler world than we have known today. We would be one in searching for that meaning which finds our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves to bring service with love and justice, strive to make us free.
As I was watching that video, first of all, I love the fact that Lee's in the background when Leslie's singing. It's like he's in two places at one time. That's a funny little glitch. And I'm just amazed. I mean, I know that we watched the video of the bigger choir earlier, and we're going to see another bigger UU choir in a few minutes. But I can't even imagine, and I know some of you here have done this, what it is to sing that when you can't hear the person next to you singing, and yet it all gets edited together in a way that sounds like you're standing next to each other singing. And so I just want to, I just want to lift that up, like how amazing that is. And those of you that are engaged in our music programs, thank you so much. I know it was a tough learning curve, especially for people that were tech challenged to figure out. But I know that every time that, whether we're hearing some big choir with, super tech people on staff, or whether we're hearing our little choir, it just hits right here for me anyway. And I love hearing you guys sing, and it's one thing that just makes me feel more connected to the fellowship. And so thank you so much for that. And I'm so glad that Nicole got us those recordings so we could use them throughout the summer. It's great. And she's, by the way, Nicole's back on schedule in a couple weeks for rehearsals. They're coming soon. So excited about that. All right. Where are we? I've lost my order of service. Here we go. Would you all please join me in the words for extinguishing our chalice? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Our time this morning together has ended. In the days that come before we are together again, may our actions match our words and our hearts. May our thoughts be filled with love, and may we truly know that it all matters. Be loved and be loving. Our postlude today is also a big choir piece, a UU choir. This is called the How We Thrive Choir, and it's part of that UU the Vote campaign. And then following that, we'll have some breakout sessions, rooms for folks who want to visit with one another. I don't know if Richard has that. I'm going to just play it from my screen, Richard.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle around to tend these vibes. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within. It's time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive in this great turning. We shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning, we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these vibes. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now. It is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love.